What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another Heart Over Height episode. Today, we're going to be giving a recap to the entire week so far of week 6 of the football season. So if you do enjoy this content, do me a huge favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below on your favorite matchup of this week. Let's have a discussion in the comments down below. So without further ado, let's get right on into this. So we're going to start with Thursday's game. That is San Francisco taking the dub 36-24 over the Seahawks. Now, this game just showcased the amount of weapons that the Niners have. You know, whether it's Purdy throwing it through the air, getting that run game going. They just have a lot going on. And with missing guys like Christian McCaffrey, this offense has actually been doing decently well at that. And it's because they have everyone around them. You know, you have guys like Ayuk, Debo, Kittle had a good game this week and everything. And then as far as the Seahawks, Geno just had a rough game. That's what it is at the end of the day. This Niners-Seahawks rivalry that there is something that we'll continue to see, of course, and it's going to be a tough battle for both sides. This game didn't necessarily feel super close because of the constant pressure that Geno Smith was under, but at the end of the day, it wasn't too far off of a close game. So pretty solid Thursday game, especially since we don't see too many close Thursday games. This game was an absolute blowout. Detroit taking a 47-9 win over Dallas. And it just showcased that Detroit really does mean business. That defense is legit. The offense is so good with players like Laporta. Jahmyr Gibbs was kind of quiet today, but David Montgomery making up for that and just being a baller on that run game for them. And then the Cowboys offense looks terrible. I have been saying this. The Cowboys are just in shambles right now. They look rough. Offense, defense, everything does not look good in my opinion. I think they just spend so much money on just CD or Dak or etc. that you don't spread the money around to where you can get great pieces outside of that. This run game is so bad in my opinion. I don't think that it's good. And then the defense, missing Micah Parsons. You know, last week we saw a glimmer of maybe they don't need Micah because they were able to actually play better without him. But this week really showed that they did miss him and miss the pressure that they get on the ball. And the offensive line for the Lions just dominated the defense of the Cowboys, just giving Jared Goff so much time to the point where they were just screwing around out there doing flea flickers and stuff. So next up here we have the Atlanta Falcons 38-20 win over the Carolina Panthers. This one in division rival right here. The Falcons offense is just dominant. Again, we keep talking about teams with multiple weapons and everything. The Falcons are so dominant with Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson. Of course, you have Drake London, who, had a good game. Darnell Mooney, who was a little quiet this week. Kyle Pitts had a good game as well. It's just like Kirk Cousins is like feasting. It's a buffet because he can pass or run the ball to literally anybody, and they're going to be productive, as we've seen week in and week out. This is such a dominant offense. The defense, it's not the greatest, but, hey, they're winning in shootouts. They're scoring. And if you have the opportunity to pick up an offensive skilled position for the Falcons, I don't think it's a bad idea to do so. Now, of course, if you do, there are going to be quiet weeks with some guys, as we've seen Bijan Robinson been a little quiet throughout the year versus somebody like Darnell Mooney was doing great, and then this was his week to have a quiet week. So just keep that in mind as you're looking for your fantasy players. Next up here, the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Raiders. Of course, Aiden O'Connell getting the start today. It didn't look good. It should have been a closer game, as the defense actually didn't do too bad with Justin Fields passing the ball, but the run game was just Najee Harris dominating the ground. Justin Fields had 2 rushing touchdowns, everything like that. But yeah, the Raiders defense was actually doing a decent job for part of this game where it was really close. And then, of course, simple mistakes, block punts, etc., were just leading to the Steelers just getting easy points on the board. So yeah, just a dominant performance by the Steelers overall, but it should have been a lot closer by simple mistakes that the Raiders were making. Here we have the Chargers playing the Broncos. I think that this game could have been going the other way had Patrick Surtain not been put in concussion protocol really early into this game, literally one of the very first plays of the game. The defense for the Chargers, though, stepped up. I mean, I know that, of course, rookie quarterback Bo Nix is working things out and just developing as an offensive dynamic weapon, but the defense of the Chargers looked really good today. Looked like a defense that could show out. Force two turnovers in that first half is huge. So, yeah. Now, the Chargers offense just needs work. It feels like they need to go get a receiver. They just need a weapon that they can kind of trust, because Quentin Johnson just isn't, to me, a trustworthy kind of guy. Ladd McConkey needs some time to develop. It just, of course, they got the running back, J.K. Dobbins, who looks pretty solid, but he can have his quiet games there. So, of course, Jim Harbaugh has never really been a coach to invest heavily in receivers. He's not going to do some Niners offense where he's got 5 different receivers he can throw to. So Justin Herbert just kind of has to be that dominant quarterback to elevate, these receivers outside of himself just putting in the work, because great quarterbacks are able to develop receivers, as we've seen guys like Patrick Mahomes do it, Tom Brady do it. If Justin Herbert wants to be in that category of a dominant quarterback and one of the greats, then he's got to be able to do it with very little help that he can elevate. So next up, this is a pretty, this game was super boring, honestly. The offense for the Browns is terrible, and that's going against a terrible defense in the Eagles. But A.J. Brown back on the field, he had a pretty decent game. He just, 116 yards with a 40-yard catch with under 2 minutes left to play. That just really sealed the game for them. Overall, this offense is going to be getting better because they're getting healthy. A.J. Brown back, Devontae Smith back. Guys like that coming back opens up the field for someone like Saquon. We saw what Saquon can do when he's got the weapons, downfield, and Jalen can get Saquon the ball, or A.J. Brown, or Devontae Smith. Now, what I didn't like about this game was the taunting from Nick Sirianni. He was taunting the crowd when they were chanting for him to be fired. And when you're chanting back at arguably the fans, and whether it was the Browns fans or the Eagles fans, or probably a mixture of both, it just doesn't look good when you win like this. When it was a very sloppy game, the offense just didn't look fantastic, but they were able, as the last sentence of this description here, they were able to escape with a win. I don't think that's something to be bragging about, so keep that in mind. Here we have Tampa Bay winning 51-27 over the Saints. Now, this was expected because the Buccaneers have had one of the best offenses to come into this week. Baker Mayfield's been tearing it up the field with guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, of course. But this is Spencer Rattler's first career start, and I think we need to give him a little bit of a break because the defense really just didn't look good for the Saints. Now, they did have 3 interceptions, so that was a bonus, but that's something that I see is a commonality with Baker Mayfield, where he's going to have these great offensive games, but on the back end of it, you're going to see interception here, interception there. I think that it's similar to like Jameis Winston. Just a kind of guy that's just going to go out there and just ball, and if he makes a mistake, he makes a mistake, but he's still going to go out there and ball kind of thing. I think that that's huge. And, I mean, shout out to Spencer Rattler for not having a terrible game. I think it's going to be good and interesting to see whether he continues to play this next 2 or 3 weeks. I think that they'll keep him in because he didn't do terrible for this, although they played not only a tough offense, but the defense isn't bad either. Here we have Houston winning 41-21 over the Patriots. Now, I wasn't expecting a good game out of Stephon Diggs because he's going to have Christian Gonzalez on there, no Nico Collins. You're going to have I figured that this offense wasn't going to be doing too much, but of course, I still gave the edge to Houston, but I think that I was expecting more out of the Patriots defense. Drake May, he didn't look fantastic. Now, of course, it's his first career start. You can't really expect too much. It's similar when we talk about guys like Aiden O'Connell or, even Bo Nix, just figuring out the offense and everything. It was better than Jacoby Brissett, and so they're probably going to keep going with Drake May to start as the season progresses. But yeah, this game, I mean, I was expecting a kind of lockdown game from Christian Gonzalez for Stephon Diggs, but then he ended up with 6 catches, 77 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, hey, good for him, kind of thing. Tank Dell had a good game too, 7 catches, 57 yards, and a touchdown also. It seems like, but the good part about this is Joe Mixon was back, and he ran all over the Patriots defense. Next up here, a sloppy game. The Indianapolis Colts winning 20-17 over the Titans. Just a really bad, sloppy game on both offenses. Didn't look good. Flacco threw a terrible interception. Will Levis just doing typical Will Levis things as we have seen week in and week out. I'm surprised they didn't look to put in Mason Rudolph again, because this is just really bad. I mean, you can see here, fourth quarter, completing just 3 of 10 passes for 23 yards, and he threw a pick. Is pretty rough. So Titans need to be looking at something else, because honestly, the Titans, if they had a decent quarterback, this offense would be somewhat good. Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears. You have 2 decent receivers in DeAndre Hopkins, even though he's a little older, and Calvin Ridley. There's weapons here, but the quarterback can't seem to get them the ball. But hey, that helps me because, as you guys know, I have Tony Pollard on my fantasy roster, so the more they run the ball, the better for me because he scores more points. So next up here, Green Bay dominating the Cardinals 34-13. Early on in this game, Marvin Harrison Jr. left with concussion protocol. That's definitely a bummer, especially for a rookie. We never want to see that kind of stuff. But the offense for the Packers just flourished. I mean, Romeo Doubs was suspended. Boom. Comes out, catches 3 passes for 49 yards, including 2 touchdowns. Huge. And then this stat is insane. Love kept the Cardinals defense guessing by completing 22 passes to 9 different receivers, and he threw for 258 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jordan Love is legit. I don't know how the Packers keep banking on all these quarterbacks, just Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, but they've got it. They're quarterback university right there. So Cardinals definitely have some things to work on, of course. The defense just needs some work, I think. I think the offense will be fine long run, but that defense needs some work. Baltimore, 30-23 over Washington. The Commanders' defense is the reason that they lost this game. The offense is not necessarily the problem, but the defense could not stop, of course, Derrick Henry. And then when you have both Derrick Henry, who can smack you in the mouth, and then Lamar Jackson, who's going to run right by you, it's tough to stop that at all. This offense is crazy. And then you throw Zay Flowers had a really good game. He had like 9 catches for 132 yards, all in the first half. And then in the second half, they just went crazy with Derrick Henry steamrolling over everyone. So overall, the Commanders need to work on that defensive front, just kind of being able to get to the running back early, not letting him get into that second level. And then same thing with, stopping the pass. They need to be able to get some corners over there. But as you guys saw in my interview, that was the biggest thing, was these corners don't look great. They need to focus on that, looking for possibly talking to someone like the Dolphins on Jalen Ramsey's situation, or, even the Patriots with a Christian Gonzalez, the Broncos with somebody like Pat Surtain to see if he's available, etc. Go talk to the Steelers about one of those guys over there. Somebody's got to help out with this Commanders secondary. The Chicago Bears, the last game that we'll be talking about as the Sunday night game is continuing. The Chicago Bears 35-16 win over Jacksonville in London. Now, I took a huge risk because this week in fantasy, I started Caleb Williams, of course, because Sam Darnold was on bye. I was like, should I start him or should I just go pick up somebody else? There were other quarterbacks available. I just went with my gut, and I was like, let's give it one more week, as I said. He dropped 28 points in fantasy. He threw for 4 touchdowns. The first rookie Bears quarterback to throw for 4 touchdowns since 1999, which was the year I was born. And then, of course, DJ Moore kind of had a quiet game, but Cole Kmet had a good game. Keenan Allen had a good game. Both of them caught 2 touchdown passes, of course, equaling the 4 from Caleb Williams. And Jacksonville just looks terrible. Overall, both up and down, they just don't look good. I don't think the offense looks good. I don't think the defense looks good. Of course, Tank Bigsby looks solid, but overall, I think that they got to get a new coach in there. They need something changing. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is necessarily the issue, but overall, the Jaguars got to start making moves because they look awful. They look so bad, and they're just not a team that's going anywhere anytime soon if it continues the way it is. So, without further ado, guys, it has been another Heart Over Height episode. If you do enjoy this content, do me a huge favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below your favorite win of this week. So, without further ado, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.